Well, hello and welcome to the very first episode of MK Unpacked with Claire Feniger. I'm your host, Claire. I was a missionary kid my whole life. My parents were based in the U.S., but we also lived in Lima, Peru for a bit as well. I'm now a college student learning what to do with the life I've lived and provide a place to share stories that often aren't shared. In this podcast, we will be hearing other missionary kids' experiences and get to look into their unique perspective on the world. Today, I'm joined by my very first guest, Josiah Boggs. Josiah and I have known each other for our whole lives. If I had more brothers, it would be him and his brother Jude. Our parents worked for the same mission organization, Ambassadors Football, and we grew up right next door to one another. This summer, Josiah and I actually had some pretty heart-to-heart conversations as we reflected on our lives overseas, and it caused me to realize the loneliness missionary kids often can feel in leaving friends behind and not always fitting into life. Those conversations inspired this podcast, and I'm excited to hear what God does with it. Josiah has a true heart for the Lord and a desire for others to receive Christ as their Savior, so I'm honored to have him on as my very first guest. So, Josiah, how are you? And thank you for being on. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you've been, where you are now, and what you're pursuing in college.
Yeah, uh, as you said, I'm Josiah Boggs. I've known Claire, my whole life pretty much. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio for the majority of my life, but when I was 8 to 10 years old, I moved to Haiti as a missionary kid. And yeah, I grew up there for those 2 years of my life, and I had many awesome experiences there.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about what Ambassadors Football is as well, just so we have like a good understanding about the mission, what your parents were doing, and everything?
Yeah, so Ambassadors Football, it is a soccer sports ministry that is based in over 30 countries, and they do soccer camps and soccer club soccer, and all those kinds of things. And we use soccer as a way of sharing the gospel with other kids all across the world pretty much. And so, yeah, my family was sent to Haiti to try to build a soccer field and use soccer as a way to bring the gospel to the kids in Haiti.
That's awesome. Did you hear that they just used the old turf from the arena in Cleveland to put together a field in Haiti? They
I
just
thought I
really
heard
should.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I think, and it's funny because the way they pieced it together, there's just random lines that kind of go everywhere, but it's a field and it's great.
That dirt and rocks they were playing on before, I'm sure.
Wow, that's so wild. So where are you now? What are you doing?
Yeah, I live on campus at Cederville University. I am going to be majoring in biblical studies, and with a concentration in missions. I'd like to do probably work with ambassadors just like my parents have done. And yeah,
That's so awesome. And then tell us a little bit about your dad's history. Like, why was Haiti an option for you guys?
okay. Yeah, so my dad actually was a missionary to Haiti for his whole life pretty much. His My grandfather moved there with his whole family, and my dad grew up there till he was 18 years old, and so he's fluent in the language. That was his home for his life. And then when he got the opportunity to move back there with my family, he wanted to do that and was the best suited to do that because of his history with being in Haiti previously.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Was that something like when you had heard like he grew up in Haiti, were you like, oh, I want to do that too, like as when you were like little, or were you like, I'll stay in the US?
No, yeah, I was definitely extremely excited when I got to hear that we were moving, and I just had no idea about all that would entail, what it would be like, the sacrifice it would be like for my family, and just all that it was, especially since I was younger. But as I reflect back on it, there's so much I learned from that.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what was like in Haiti growing up? Give us like a little bit of what it
Yeah,
looked like.
yeah. So for me, it was just just a typical everyday thing for me. Just growing up, I would get up, I would go to school. We'd drive down the mountain because I lived up on a mountain, and it was about 3 miles to get to school, though it would take like about half an hour to an hour sometimes due to traffic and things like that. There would always be tons of people on the streets selling you different things, people walking the streets. And it would, then I just go to school. I went to a Christian school there called Kiskea Christian School, and it was one of the biggest Christian schools there. That's where I made a lot of friends through playing soccer, and just I would be on the soccer field all the time, just playing soccer with people there. Every single second I wasn't sitting in the classroom doing schoolwork, I'd be outside playing all the time because the weather there is super nice. You can always be outside. And yeah, I would just have a great time playing with the kids, trying to learn a bit of Creole, which is the language they speak in Haiti. And yeah, then I would come home from school, play with my little brother outside on our campus, which was all gated in because everything in Haiti is gated due to different, just for safety reasons. It's like that in a lot of different countries. But yeah, and we would just always be playing outside, having fun. And yeah.
Very good. So, I mean, you kind of painted us a pretty good picture of what it looked like. What was it like kind of beyond your that gated area type thing? Like what was like the country kind of like?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you go outside of the gate and when you would go into downtown Port-au-Prince, it would be it would be pretty dangerous because there was a lot of like there could be demonstrations some days, there could be gangs, there could be violence like that. And so you'd have to be careful. You always kept your windows rolled up. If you didn't, you could, I mean, someone could try to just grab something out of your car, grab your phone or something like that. So you had to make sure your windows were up. Um, and yeah, it's extremely poor in Haiti. It's a third world country. So one of the poorest countries in the world. So there would be people there who were extremely hungry. Every day when we would come back from school, we would, my brother and I would always save a bit of our lunch because we knew that on our way back, there would be people who would be begging for our food because they saw us as the rich white people who didn't have food. So they'd always come up, bang on the window and want some food. So then we would roll down our windows and give them whatever we'd have left from our lunch. We we just do stuff like that, just trying to help them out a bit. We wouldn't want to give them money necessarily just because we wouldn't know what they would do with that. um, but yeah, so that's what it was like. They were just trying to survive basically. So yeah.
Wow. So like what is that like for you as a young kid seeing people who are starving? Like what did that do to your mind? You know, like how did that affect how you viewed people? How did that affect how maybe God views people? What did that look like?
Yeah, it gave me a real appreciation for just how much he blessed me, especially even more now as I look back on it, because then it was just like my life, like I didn't
Mhm.
think that much of it. I mean, I wanted to help them, obviously, but as I look back now, I just think that I really wanted to help those people. Um, and just seeing how God views them as his children, even though they were in a totally different situation than me. I wasn't starving, but they were. I was just happy to get to help them a little bit. And I'm just glad that he gave me a great family because many of them didn't have their parents or whatever. They'd just be young kids living on the streets. Just, yeah. So I would definitely say that I'm grateful that I got that opportunity to see that because now I can really understand the blessing that it is to live just here in America with a family, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So talking about the people, we'll dig in a little bit more with people that you knew closely. How did you make friends and like who were your friends there and kind of what did that look like?
Yeah, so a lot of my friends were from school. One of the first friends I made was his name was John Ernst was his name, John Ernst. And yeah, he was very, very fun. He played soccer, and I met him on the campus that I lived, the gated in. It was called Satini. That was the place where I lived, and it was like a gated community. And I met him there. He was just the son of one of the workers on the campus, and I met him playing soccer. I would play with him like all the time, but then he moved within the first couple months of me being there. And then after that, I made friends at school, just from my grade. Uh, One of my best friends, her name was Taya. She was a missionary kid from Canada, and yeah, we got along really well together. And so she was a good friend, and I just really made great friends with all my classmates there, and we just got along great.
That's awesome. I like how you mentioned that soccer was a way for you to make a lot of friends. Explain to us how ambassadors using soccer has been so effective, especially like from a kid's perspective. I know like when we were in Peru, I made a lot of friends just because of soccer. I didn't speak the language necessarily that well, but soccer was a way to do that. Explain to us why soccer and football, whatever, and Jesus go so well together.
Yeah, so in Haiti, they don't have hardly anything to play with. They would just get trash. They'd tie rubber bands together. They'd get plastic bags. They'd make soccer balls out of it. They'd use whatever they had to make soccer balls, and then they just play for hours just playing soccer. That was all they knew. That was what they'd grown up in. And so I just kind of adapted that idea, and I've loved soccer all my life. So it just really went hand in hand. And then growing up in a culture of just using the gospel, using soccer as a way to spread the gospel was something that I just grown up doing. So it just came almost naturally for me because of the love of the game and just my love for Jesus and my family's love for Jesus. And they just really showed me how you can use soccer as a way to share the gospel with the people there.
Yeah. And I also want to add, just like whatever you're good at, like if there's someone listening, like if there's something that you're good at, something that's gifted you with, that's a way to reach others because there's other people who enjoy that. Something my dad was said this like if it's like fixing windows or welding, like and you're really good at that, then go meet other people who are really good at that and tell them about Jesus too. Like
Yeah.
it's so beautiful how God uses things like that. Or even plastic bags and rubber bands. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even a full soccer ball. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead and share with us your favorite story from Haiti. Like what's something that just always sticks out to you?
Okay. Let me think here. I would say one of my favorite stories from Haiti would be when we would go to the beach. Um, I loved going to the beach. It was great because one, it would be on vacation, so I wouldn't have school to worry about. And two, it was just always amazing. I went snorkeling for the first time when I was there with my dad, and it was so much fun. We saw incredible different kinds of animals and fish, and I even saw an octopus one time, and we catch puffer fish and all kinds of things like that. And that was just something I loved, just seeing God's beauty in creation. It just was absolutely incredible.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, what were some of the other animals that were in Haiti?
Oh, they didn't have many animals like they do here in America, because if there were any animals, then they'd eat them. There was a lot of uh, like stray dogs and things like that. Um, but yeah, most of the animals were like aquatic animals. So there was all kinds of different fish, and they had, yeah, just so much sea life and wild dogs, wild cats. But yeah, other than that, not really much.
Did you and your brother Jude ever try to catch anything? Like, surely you guys did. Like, I know you guys.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely would. Like I said, we would catch pufferfish. We would actually catch jellyfish, but like if you scoop them up a certain way, then the tentacles can't get you, and then we would throw them super far back on shore and watch them explode. It was super fun.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't I didn't even think that's what you were gonna say. That's awesome. Um, okay, I have there's a person in my head you told me about this summer. I don't remember their name, but you shared with me a little bit about one of your friends or like someone you had shared the gospel with, but you didn't even know like if it sank in.
Yeah.
What does that look like as a kid, just like moving around, not having like consistent friendships, and then like trying to plant seeds, but not really knowing what does that do to your faith? What is that just like in general? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I did get to share the gospel while I was there for the first time. His name was Samuel, and
Mm.
I remember that was the first time that I'd really shared the gospel with anyone. And I'd just been playing with him, and then I guess I felt the Holy Spirit calling me to share the gospel with him. So I sat down and just told him about God, told him that Jesus loved him and that he needed a savior. And he said that he knew about God and stuff, and he wanted to become a Christian. So I prayed with him. I just said, "Repeat after me," and he did. And then that's when he prayed the prayer. But you never. He was young. I was young, and I don't know anything about him now because we moved away after that. And so I don't know if it really sank in, if he became a believer. But the thing is that even if we don't know, God uses it. So we just have to plant the seeds. That's what we're called to do, is plant seeds and let God grow those seeds. Um, and that is something that I got to do a lot of with my family through sport, through soccer, like I said. And even though I don't know like almost anyone from Haiti anymore, because I mean, many of them moved away because of the violence in Haiti. And I was young, so I didn't have access to or ways of keeping up with them. But I can just trust that the seeds that we planted there, God still has them in his hands, so he can use that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did it look like for you to try to like learn about God? Because you're kind of at a young age, but then also be telling people about God and then trying to see like how your faith is shaped. I mean, you're around rituals, witchcraft, crazy stuff, but your parents are like, no, there's a God of the universe that created everything that loves us, that's like good and loving. What does that look like for you navigating that when you were young?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there was a bunch of voodoo and Haiti and things like that. I mean, sometimes we would fall asleep listening to people like banging on drums, worshiping Satan, basically. And that was just a very scary thought to me. And it made me think, man, I'm just so glad that I'm not like that. I'm glad that I have that I accepted Christ into my heart and did not become someone who didn't know about God, because then, I mean, I could be doing the same thing. I mean, we're all sinners. We're no better than those people. And we're called to bring the gospel to those people. But I was just so grateful that I had, that God had just showed himself to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. So just to close us, do you have, like how we do hot seat at Ambassadors, do you have any advice you would like to leave with anyone listening? What would that be?
Yeah. Um, I really liked the point you brought up about just using what you have, like the skills you have, just using them for God's glory, because He's given you those talents or whatever it is for a reason, and you should absolutely be using them and not be afraid to show them or share them, because they can be a way to share the gospel with other people. For me, that was soccer. For someone else, it might be, like you said, window cleaning or making windows or whatever. And I would also say just to trust in the Lord's plan, um, for your life, because I know for me there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of times when I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I'd be called to a new country, or my family would just move again or whatever. But just trust in God's plan, because he has it all under control.
Thank you so much. That's so awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Josiah, for your time on MK Unpacked. I'm so grateful for your willingness to have this conversation and to share a bit of your story. Would you like to shout out your YouTube channel?
Oh, the Boggs. Yeah.
Boggs Bros, let's go. All right. Thank you again, Joe. And I'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
see ya. Bye.